the Ravenguard. Space Marines in stealth. I mean, you gotta love it. Doesn't really make much sense if you think about it. It's a big clanky power armor, but according to lore they do things to make it not as clanky. And, you know, let's ignore the fact that they're all different types of scanners on the battlefield, so... But, you know, how hard can they be to paint? They're black miniatures, you just do some stuff on them and they're done. But that's not true, because I found out very quickly stealth armor, to make it look halfway realistic, not with great big greens and reds and everything, is kind of hard to do, because you lose the definition of the model just with flat black. So in reality you'd paint it flat black and that's it, it's done. And it looks like crap. So I am a member, here's a shout out to Ninjon, and I have access to his Discord channel, so I put the problem on there. And one of the people said, and really I should have thought about this on my own, is look at real world versions of stealth armor or stealth fighters. So off I went down that rabbit hole on the interwebs and pulled up all kinds of pictures, especially the F117. And as you can see, it's black, but where the light hits it, you get all kinds of different colors. Mostly though, grays and blues. So I figured, alright, I mean, you never know what kind of table you're going to be fighting on. I mean, it could be a winter table, it could be a desert table. You know, you can't really make your miniatures fit the surrounding. But you can go generic. So I figured, well, you know, if I do it, I can highlight or have some distinctive colors. Not really loud, but subtle, of blues and grays, and then see if that helps us at all. So I did a prototype, or two prototypes. Now the nice thing about resin printing is you don't spend $210 for, you know, not very many miniatures. So by resin printing, you have stuff and you can prototype with, and you're not too worried about it. So I did the black base coat, just sprayed it matte black, and then I thought, well, let's start with the subtleties first on this one. So I mixed up some metallic blue from the yellow, some matte black and some gunmetal, and then, you know, I started off thinking, okay, I usually do, I mean, I look at things and usually the light for me when I paint a model comes from top left. So, you know, I start very carefully. Now, two things I want to note here. This is not a display model, this is just doing it for tabletop. I like to give myself the option to come back and paint more on them when I feel like it, one at a time, just to better them up slowly over time. But initially, prototyping for me is getting down A, the way I want them to look, and B, in a way that I can crank these out and not spend weeks on them. So this is, you start off with the subtleties, at least I do, and I start dark because obviously the base color is black, and then work my way slowly up. And on these models for this particular thing, all I wanted to do was make some of the contours stick out more, but everybody says, oh, you need it to pop, but it's stealth armor. I didn't want it to pop. I wanted it so you could look at the model and not everything blending into the black behind it. So you've got to do like the edges and any of the pick out some of the parts of the model that make it distinct. So here I go over with the blue and then work my way out. So once I was done with that, I had to decide their emblems. Did I want them? I didn't want them bright white. Although that's on the F117, most of them are bright white. They're really tiny, and it's on a plane that's going God knows how many miles an hour far away from me. These guys are going to get in close and personal. What I don't want, you've got stealth armor with a bright white emblem on it. You know, it just... So I started off, okay, let's do subdued grey. We'll start with that and then see where that leads. And there aren't that many emblems on these. Some of them are kind of like ingrained into the shoulder pieces. So, you know, I was hoping the subtle blue would make those seeable, but not prominent. And again, with the grey, I figured, well, let's try with the mid grey and see where we go with that. So next, with the eyepieces, again, I had to kind of do a bit of suspension of belief. I like the orange eyes, so I always imagine, you know, you look around in the shadows, there's a bunch of orange eyes looking at you. That will be kind of scary. So now on this particular model, it's got the old beaky helm. The eyes on these are really small, they're like slits. So I don't go for, you know, spending hours and hours and hours on the eyes and trying to get, you know, the surrounds and the highlights and stuff. My compromise on this was I went for a pretty vibrant orange, and then you know, didn't need to do a white underlay. I just did two passes on this orange, and you know, that gave it enough, especially because everything's black, so that orange does stand out really well. My next step was to get just some gunmetal mixed with black to darken it down, and then go around and get some edges going so that there was a distinction, so you know, the black doesn't fade into the black behind it. Where there's an edge, you know, you get a line, and try and pick out some of the details, again, without making them horribly obvious. It's just to stop black blending on black from different parts of the model, and it helps your eye pick out the separate pieces of that model. I did it less than the blue, so I went pretty much wherever I went with the blue earlier, but to a lesser extent, and then tried to think where light would be hitting it, and then also did some stippling for scratches. You know, we don't want this brand new armor, this is kind of beat up, so if you stipple some of that, you'll get the scratch effect. And then just go around the model, picking out areas. A little more where the light's coming from, again for me it's top left, and then, you know, less that will be in darkness. The next problem I had was, okay, so he's got the plasma gun. Now, a lot of times these are huge and glowy. How much did I want that to be the same? Again, this is supposed to be stealth armor, stealthy units. Big glowy plasma guns, probably not a good idea. So, question is, you know, would it be dimmed down at some way? So I started off, the plasma coils I just did in white, because I didn't know how bright I was going to make these. And then I figured I could just keep layering on a blue and see how dark looked good or how bright looked good. So once I got that done, I could go ahead and start adding a blue wash. Basically that is a mid blue mixed with a little bit of white to desaturate it, and then add in enough water so that it would just flow on, kind of like a wash, maybe a bit thicker. And now the other thing kind of is, I didn't want it that glowy, so you know, I put it on carefully and halfway thick. I don't know how to explain it. As you can see here, this is kind of what the effect was looking like as I was putting it on. It looked a bit light to me, so I was, the whole time I'm thinking, well, I can always go over it again. Then for the actual metal parts of the gun, again, not quite matte black, so I used the metallic blue that I'd used before, because, you know, that helps tie the model together, and went across and started to highlight it. Again, I'm not trying to make it pop, I'm just trying to, you know, fool the eye to get, you know, blue shades, so not everything is just matte black and soaks into itself. So I went across it once with this, and then it was a little too bright for me, so, but, you know, all I needed to do was go over it later with a black wash and dull it down again, and it came out quite good, I think. Then I decided I was going to dull down the plasma coils. They were just a little too bright for me. So I went in and just gave it another level of wash over the top to bring the blue down, make it less glowy, if you will, and carried on. Then I just started going back and picking out bits. It's a prototype, so you kind of try different things. So I wanted to get the symbols up a little higher. Again, it's a fight between, cartoonism and realism. I mean, it's Warhammer, but I kind of, stealth armor, I want it to be somewhat realistic. So, and I ran into a huge problem in that, because I use army paints, they're not the best paints in the world. They're good, I mean, I like them, you work with what you got. But their white is just, my god, it turns into like white out after a while. So I was doing whites, greys, this and that, until I eventually, settled on, what I think is what I can live with. And there we have it. So I did another one after this one, using the guidelines I'd set myself for the first one with, what I wanted to achieve. The second one isn't quite finished yet. What I tried on the second one, and you'll see as it comes around, I used instead of painting on those blues, I just grabbed an airbrush, put some blue ink in it, and gave it a spray from the top left. So if you see that Tactical Marine has like a blue tint top left moving down, which I kind of like, and it's quicker than what I was doing. I kind of like both, so I think I can, between those two techniques, I think I can make this work quite well. My painting isn't very good, my eyes are shot, my knees are bent. I'm an old man. So I've got to, I'll use this Marine army to try and get my brush techniques better, get back into the swing of painting them. And one of the other things I remember from years ago is that even if you've got an average paint job, once you've got quite a few of them in a group, they always look better. I don't know why, as long as you keep them consistent. So that's it. Like, subscribe if you've watched this far. Thank you very much. Yes, I do need work on my painting skills. They've gone away. They were never really that good. But again, a shout out to Ninjon. I'm never going to be a showcase painter, but a lot of the ideas on his channel have given me ideas and helped me to think about what I'm painting instead of just slapdash straight from the back of the box art. Again, you guys have a good one. Thanks again.